So we're going to go through it. I'll try and be efficient with this, but I think you should know the members of the P&T committee for this year. Most of these people have been on it before. Our new addition is Rusty McCullough, and I think that's going to be a very, very positive addition to our group. And then another change for us is our professional assistant, Stephanie Montgomery, after Pat McDonald retired. So we're have a few changes, but I don't think there's going to be any major substantive changes in the way we operate. So this past year, there were 22 people giving consideration for promotion. 14 went through the Department of Pediatrics P&T committee. There were 3 for professor, 9 for associate professor, 2 for tenure, and 1 clinical professor that wanted to be promoted. 1 had a recommended change from a dual pathway to the focused pathway for associate professor. 1 was recommended to defer, and 1 recommended to defer just simply for not enough time in rank. I'll get to that in a minute. So why go for promotion? Well, the recognition that is deserved for personal Department of Peds and UNMC contributions of the mission. So you know, if you've done the work, you deserve to be recognized for the work you've done on several levels. It's part of your expected career development. It's appropriate recognition of your status within academic circles. It generally will influence the pay scale. A higher rank opens doors for larger roles in UNMC and children's systems. In other words, there's some roles or some committees where you need to be an associate professor or professor to participate. And then a lot of academic institutions have an up or out policy. In other words, if you don't make promotion by the time you've been in a faculty position for 7 years, then you have to leave. Well, we don't have that here. So that is a nice benefit of being here. So the general principles, the P&T committee's role is to review your promotion packet for any prospective candidate to make sure they met the minimum requirements for promotion to the desired rank. And then we can critique the promotion packet and make suggestions to enhance your documents. Again, we're on your side. You know, our role is to make you the best candidate as you go before the university P&T committee. So we have a Department of Pediatrics committee, and then that your packet, after approval by CARI, goes to the UNMC committee. So our committee will decide if you merit promotion and will likely make it past the university committee. We review everything by CARI after a vote of the committee approves the packet. And then a letter will be sent to the candidate of the committee recommendation. So you'll have some idea how your packet was viewed by the Department of Peds committee. And then if committee members from the Canada same division are going up for promotion, the committee member will recuse themselves from discussion. In other words, if we have a cardiology candidate going up for promotion, I have to leave the meeting and let the other committee members take over the discussion and come up with the critiques and vote on if they're approved. And then the other important factor is the timing of how promotion works. So if you go up for promotion this year in the summer or late summer and fall of 2022 and are approved for promotion, it will not take effect until July 1st, 2023. And that's an important date, as we'll see in a minute here. So how it works, if you're considering promotion, you discuss it with your chief and me or the chair of the P&T committee. Then if you decide to go ahead, you apply. You go before the Department of Peds P&T committee, and if we approve, then it goes to CARI, and if CARI approves, then it gets moved on to the UNMC P&T committee. If they approve, it goes to the dean, then the chancellor, and finally the Board of Regents. And by the time all this takes place, this ends up being pretty much late winter, early spring, when that finally approves. Actually, it may even be late spring before they actually get to the regents and approve it. This is from the P&T guideline packet, but this is succinct in terms of demonstrating what's needed. If you were hired as an assistant professor, you'll be going for associate professor. The big change from last year is that there's now 2 ways to get to associate professor. One is the dual emphasis pathway. This is the more classic pathway where you need to have level 2 in 2 of the following areas: teaching, research, or patient care, and then level 1 in at least one other area. Or you can do the focused emphasis pathway. And as I mentioned, we had one person do this last year. So you have to be level 3 in just one area, but you need to be very good in that area. And then you have to have level 1 in 2 of the other areas. So instead of having level 2 in 2 areas, as in this one, you have to have level 3, but then only level 1 in 2 of the other areas. And for professor, the stakes are a little higher. You have to be level 3 in one of the areas and level 2 in 2 other areas. And then tenure is kind of a separate category. Tenure can be awarded technically at any rank, but at UNMC, it just is not going to be awarded to those that are not at the professional level, except under extraordinary circumstances. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but you need to have level 2 in the following areas, and you'll notice that patient care is not one of the areas that counts for tenure. So tenure is strictly an academic status that's awarded just based on longevity and loyalty to the institution and sustained work in those areas. So here's the areas that I touched on in the previous slide. Teaching, you can be levels 1, 2, and 3. Research and scholarly activity, 1, 2, 3. Patient care, the same. But service, you can only get to 1 and 2. And this means service to UNMC, Children's, Nebraska Medicine, the VA, or service to the community, you know, Habitat for Humanity, food bank, places like that. So the levels that we mentioned, levels 1, 2, and 3, are arranged with progressive degrees of increased local, regional, national, and international impact, and the increased amount of leadership. In other words, are you the director of a program? Are you a chairman of a committee? You know, did you initiate a program and you're the leader of that program? Levels 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I mentioned that the levels only 1 and 2 are available for service, and to achieve a given level. So if you are level 2, for example, you must have 3 activities or achievements within that level. And I'll explain that in just a minute. And for each level in the research domain, the achievement highlighted in italics must be one of the 3 levels of achievement. So so this is for teaching. I probably should have put the research one up here, because in research, the first bullet point is in italics, and to get level 2, for example, you have to have the one in italics plus 2 of these other ones. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. So if I wanted to be level 2 in teaching, then I need to have at least three of these achievements or activities to qualify as a true level 2. Now, of course, if you have a level 3, 1 level 3 and 2 level 2s, then of course that would work as well. But if you want to be level 3 in teaching, you again have to have 3 of these activities or achievements to be counted as a true level 3. And I'm open for questions. If anybody has questions along the way, please feel free to speak up. So time and rank. This was clarified last year in the revisions of the P&T guidelines. The university and the dean in particular made it very clear that they're going to be very strict about time and rank. And so you pretty much have to have a minimum of 5 years for associate and 5 years to go for professor. And this is calculated from your start date to the date that successful promotion would begin. So again, if your promotion would begin in July 1st, 2023, then anybody that's hired before July 1st, 2018 would be eligible for promotion. If you were hired after July 1st, 2018, then you will not have enough time in that rank. And so I think I made it clear in that first bullet point. How tight will they stick to the at least part? Well, that's somewhat of an unknown, but our experience from last year was that There's probably some leeway by 1 to 2 months. So if you started in August or you started it maybe in September, especially at the associate professor level, you probably are okay. If you're going for a professor, they may be a little more strict on that. And again, it may just depend on the strength of the portfolio. So if you have a very, very strong portfolio, maybe you're level 3 and not just one area, but 2 areas, you know, they can tell your trajectory is upward and you're a leader, then they would probably be a little more flexible on that. A rare provision is made for 4 years, and they stay in the guidelines for exceptional and sustained is an important word, accomplishments. So basically, if you haven't been here for 5 years, it's not worth your time and effort to go forward for promotion, is the short story on that. I'm going to check the chat box to see if there's a question. Okay, question. What if you were an assistant professor at a different university system before coming to UNMC? Does that count to the timeline? Great question, and yes, it does count. So we, as long as it's an academic institution, not like an appointment at a private hospital or something like that. If it's a true academic appointment as assistant professor, then yes, that time in your rank does count towards time and rank at UNMC. And let's see, if someone has come from another institution as an associate for many years, you still need to wait to find. Well, that's kind of the same thing. You know, it is all cumulative. Your time at the previous institution, as well as the time at UNMC. But the one caveat is you have to be at UNMC for 2 years, a minimum of 2 years. But then if you've been here for 2 years and then you've been 3 years somewhere else, then that would count. Okay, now back to the slides. These are the required documents. You need to supply your CV in UNMC format. There is a specific UNMC format, and you need to pretty much stick to that, because if you don't, I can tell you that our P&T committee will jump all over that and recommend that you make this change and that change. And then part of your CV is Appendix C. These are all the UNMC guidelines, which you'll be receiving at some point in the mail when they're ready to send those out this year. You need to come up with an academic narrative. This is a more of a text version of what you've done in your academic career, and highlight some achievements that you've made and notable accomplishments that generally are not suited for a CV. You'll need to supply a list of external reviewers. We need 6, hoping we asked for 6 because we hope to get just 3 of them back. Sometimes people aren't very good about getting back their external reviews. So we try to get a good number of them, so we get at least 3 back to send to the university committee. And they need to be at the aspired rank or greater. So if you're going for associate professor, you can't have an assistant professor write your external review. It needs to be associate professor or higher. And they should be from peer institutions. And so what I've generally recommended with us being in Nebraska, try and get reviewers from Big Ten schools, Pac-10, ACC type schools. If you get your reviews from Harvard and Yale and places like that, your reviews will probably not be that good, because they will say a statement that says, this person may not meet the requirements for promotion at our institution. That may or may not be true, but you don't want to have that in one of your review letters. So, so try and get your review letters from peer institutions. You need a statement of your right to waive to review external review letters. You need significant publication examples, up to 5 of them since your last promotion. And then the department supplies all these other things, including a chair from the department and solicitation of an external reviewer unknown to you, and your division chief may be asked to do that. So, so the most important documents, your CV needs to be in UNMC format, should be up to date and inclusive of pertinent activities per P&T guidelines, should not have long narratives explaining different items. In other words, you know, I worked on this research project. This research project resulted in the discovery of these new enzymes. These enzymes have been relevant. You know, you don't want any of that. Just Maybe if there's something that you achieved that is not self-explanatory, like you received an achievement award. Well, just putting, 2008 received achievement award, that doesn't tell us anything. So you may need to put a little statement that says, awarded from the Omaha Food Bank for chairing their recent drive or something like that. All items should have dates and relevant cities and states, and abstracts and publications should be listed in standard reference form. And then Appendix C, there's the guidelines for Appendix C is in the UNMC guidelines, and they tell you bullet point by bullet point of the order those teaching activities should go and how they should be organized. And then your academic narrative, sometimes called a personal statement. This should be used to detail how each level was achieved. So if you reach level 2 and you had 3 or more items that help you reach level 2, you need to explain the things that you did. It's not a reiteration of the CV. It's to highlight and explain items that don't go onto a CV, or explain the value of certain achievements that you did have on your CV. Do not recite details of research studies. It's fine to talk about the relevance of the research, but we don't need to know the details of how you discovered whatever you found in your research. This next bullet point, as you know, pediatricians tend to be nice people. We tend to be the good guys. This is not a time to be shy. This is the time to toot your own horn and toot it loudly. This is a time to make sure you include all the things that you've done. Don't say I taught a course to the medical students for the last 5 years. You want to say taught heart murmurs in 2019, 2020, 2020, 21, 2022, and so forth. You want to make sure that it's known that you did this a lot. And at the same time, the gravity test does not apply for this document. So while you want to make sure that you talk about your achievements, you don't want to make it so wordy that nobody wants to read it. And I think they have a maximum length on it of 8 pages, but in reality, you shouldn't even get close to 8 pages for a good academic narrative. And I have some examples of academic narratives if people want to take a look at those. Tenure, the university looks at this as an honor. It's reserved for those with sustained, meaning length of time, contributions to the academic mission of the College of Medicine. It confers status that takes very extraordinary circumstances to terminate an academic appointment, so there is value to tenure. The dean looks upon the rewarding of tenure very seriously. Less than 25% of the faculty actually have tenure. Exceedingly rare to get this at the associate professor level. And again, it requires level 2 in teaching, research, and service. What can you do to help yourself for promotion? Well, monitor your time and rank. Know where you stand and plan ahead. Keep your CV up to date and inclusive of all pertinent items. And your administrative assistants for each division should know how to do this and help you with this. Start a list of your achievements or even a draft of a personal statement and add to it regularly. And that's what I did. I just kept a separate Word document and listed by year the things I did. Gave a talk to the residents on this date, gave a talk to the medical students, awarded something for this thing, started a new program at this. Some of those things you may put on your sheet of paper and they may not be pertinent when you get down to actually applying, but you can throw that stuff out later. Just put everything you've done that's a noteworthy achievement or a talk or a lecture, a presentation, a committee, a new idea, any of that stuff, put down on a piece of paper. And then when you come to the point that you're ready for promotion, you can weed that stuff out and put together a nice CV and a academic narrative. Identify areas of responsibility that can be assigned within your division. So, for cardiology, we have the division of imaging, or a director of imaging, but there is also a director of echo, a director of CT, a director of fetal echocardiography, and so forth. And these people actually have real responsibilities and are asked to be leaders of those respective parts of their division. Join academic or hospital-based committees. Over time, you might even become chairman of a committee, and this shows leadership and local recognition of your abilities. And so that's very important when it comes to promotion and tenure. Find regional and national opportunities to collaborate with others or give lectures. Subspecialty societies are a great avenue to chair committees, be on writing groups, and spread your reputation. This works very well if you take advantage of it. So in summary, the promotion and tenure process is complex and requires multiple reviews for approval all the way to the Board of Regents. The Department of P&T Committee serves to help faculty members get promoted. There are several resources that can be used to prepare yourself for the P&T process, including the division chief, the Department of P&T chair, which is me at the current time, and Suzanne Haney, who you know, and is also on our P&T committee.